welcome back to The Chosen Life. I'm your host, The Chosen Lawyer. Today, we have a very esteemed guest with us. I have a long list in order to list off who he is. Mohamad Fakih. He is the Executive Chair and President of Paramount Fine Foods, a member of the Order of Canada, philanthropist, and I wrote here, amazing human being. Mohamad, welcome to The Chosen Life.
Thank you so much for the introduction and for having me.
It's a real honor, my friend. I've been following you for quite a while on social media, and we were talking before we were airing, are you ever home? Because it seems like you're always in a different spot. You're constantly at an event, charity work. It's incredible. How do you find the time to do everything?
I think when you love what you're doing, you'll always find time. But beside the point, it's not about work-life balance and a lot of those theories that people wants to actually make sure that this is the most important thing. Of course, for me, it's all life. What I do in the community is the best of what I do in my life. And I bring my children with me, so that should not take away from my children. And at the same time, our families should expect us to be there a lot of time with them for sure, but mostly when it matters the most. And when you're doing something with the bigger picture and a broader scope, which is helping others and helping the community and helping our country, including our children, and make them part of that, and that's the best thing you could teach your children, is not to think only about yourself, thinking about your neighbors, thinking about your community, and the least fortunate. And not only when it's easy, when it's hard, then you'll always find time. It's very enjoyable, helping others, doing a business and building a company, and building a community around it. It's just the most enjoyable thing you can do, and it's not work.
I love that. Now you said 3 children, and how old are each of them?
Imad is 17, Kareem is 15, and Adam is 8.
Okay. Now, each of them had their respective life cycles. Did they ever get to the point of saying, Dad, do I have to come here? Dad, do I have to come there? I want to play video games. Or were they always happy to come along?
Like all of us, I have to take an appointment to see my children because they have lived... it's sad for our children the last 2 years. Yes. I was lucky enough to have available to them some community work to come with me to Regent Park, come with me to feed the LTC, the nurses. So I had a reason to get them out of the house when it was safe for them to be.
Yes.
But at the same time, we all have the same problem. Our children are busy with their friends and with some videos and digital, but you make sure as well that they enjoy the fact to come out and helping people. And my kids do, because I start them off very young, 7, 8 years old. They start coming out to do some charity work. This Sunday, me and my son are doing another lemonade stand, and we convinced 3 other neighbors in different streets to do a lemonade stand, and we're going to gather all the money and help a family. So look, I always say, I want to teach my children many things, but when you want to make available everything for them, we're all looking for reason to keep them grounded and make sure that they understand that there's other people that they're not as fortunate in life. And the best thing to teach them is kindness, and have them involved in a lot of charitable work. And that's why I always tell my friend, bring your children to Regent Park so they can volunteer. Volunteerism is one of the best things you could teach your children. And not only for the kids. I always say, you don't stop volunteering when you get old. You get old when you stop volunteering.
I love that. You have such a good, healthy life perspective. And as far as focusing on others and helping others, and that's where people often ask, when somebody is charitable, somebody is giving to the community, where does it begin with? And I agree with you. It starts from the parenting stage and the role models that we set up with them. Now, for the parents listening to this, so they put into perspective, running a global empire that you do, and the schedule that you have, and it's very specific. I know, speaking with your personal assistant, and your time is very much booked for, so even getting you over here was not that easy. We made it happen. But as busy as you are in your schedule, then you have to work around your children's schedule. So it's funny how that works out from the priority life. And as a parent, I can fully relate to what you're speaking.
No, absolutely. And it's not easy, but who wants it easy? Easy is boring.
Yes.
And that's for me. I mean, when I find something that is very easy to resolve, I'll leave it for others, because a lot of people want to be celebrated, and we want to celebrate people who just are starting off helping the community. So I rather take on more difficult issues like hunger, like homelessness, and the lack of leadership in our country. I love taking on those issues.
Well, may very well see you one day as Prime Minister of Canada. You never know. Well, with your healthy perspectives and outlooks, as far as and we can get into it as far as government, but it's one thing to become part of government, another part to try to help assist government and help local leaders, right? There's so many ways we can contribute without having to take on those roles directly.
And it's a great question. Thank you.
Yes.
A lot of people ask me if I'm running.
Yes.
And the reason why people ask me if I'm running for politics,
yes.
because in our community, we're not used to see people just doing things and not wanting something in return. Mm-hmm. And I have a bad news. I'm not running for anything, and I don't want anything. I already got what I wanted from Canada and from Canadians. What I wanted is that Canadian warm smile when I was very poor, when I lived in a basement. Canadian welcomed me with a beautiful smile. They made me feel like a citizen more than an immigrant. And forever, I committed to give back to this country just for welcoming me and giving me the biggest opportunity in my life and the highest honor for a civilian, the Order of Canada. For someone that lived in a basement apartment, walked into with $1,000, Canada has given me enough. The Canadian dream is a dream that we don't speak about too often, but we should. We have the best dream in the world. And that Canadian dream make me do things, good things, help people without wanting anything in return. And on your point, can leaders should be only political leaders to actually make a difference? I actually see it the opposite. We're seeing less political leader making a difference and more everyday ordinary leaders, heroes, has made a difference during the pandemic. Our political leaders, especially here in this province, during the pandemic, has shown zero leadership, the way I understand leadership. Mm-hmm. Showing up when it's hard, not when it's easy. Showing up for the children, for the senior. We didn't see that. What we saw, ordinary people acting like heroes. You and me showing up for our neighbors, feeling the pain and feeling that oneness with the nurses. When I used to walk in with meal to the LTC, they used to cry because they just felt that someone else cared when they felt not cared for. And that's what we saw from our political leader. As far as leaders in business, I think we should speak louder. Leaders in business and CEOs, they have so much leadership and knowledge. They have the tools. They have the team to make a huge difference beyond the border and the walls of their company. But yet they don't, because they think it does conflict with the interest of their company. In Canada, we have the best country on earth. I love Canadian. Our business leaders need to speak louder, need to weigh in to bigger scale issues, and need to understand and send a message to their shareholders that we're only leader in our company if we are able to be leader across the country. Their business is impacted by a country that is not directed the right way. So they should weigh in. And they should weigh in to do one thing. I think the priority should be looking after our staff, our employees as business leader, and looking after the least fortunate in our community. That's leadership. Leadership is not counting billions and is not asking to be the most richest company in the world. Bottom line is not only dollar. Bottom line as well as legacy. What kind of legacy we want to leave as leader? So the answer, yes, business leaders need to get involved more in bigger issues, not limited to the company interest. And no, I'm not doing everything I'm doing to run for politics. I'm doing it just because as a leader in the country that has supported me and given me the biggest opportunity of my life, I should use my voice and platform only to help the people that needs it.
And Canada, your community very much appreciates it.
Thank you.
And again, looking through your social media, I heavily recommend everybody to follow you on any platform that you're on, because it's amazing. To me, leadership has different definitions, But leading by example, it's not the people think leadership, they think sending other people. It's when you're standing in the forefront, you're getting your hands dirty, and you're showing what it means to do. I think that is the greatest, most effective form of leadership. Now, understanding to the leader you are today and the person you are today, we have to scale it back to understand where you came from. I think that brings a much bigger scope of a picture, because there are leaders that start off that their parents, grandparents were the president and the president before them, so they grew into those roles, right? When I love going to Paramount and eating the food, not knowing your story, I figured, okay, this must be third, fourth generation, and he's continuing to grow the business. But that's not the case at all. You started from very humble beginnings to where you are today. So that being said, Mohamad, if you can give the listeners an understanding before you came to Paramount of who Mohamad was and how you came to Paramount.
Well, thank you for this question. I mean, I was born in Lebanon. At the age of I lived the Civil War. I've spent nights in bunkers. I've seen people related to me dying in front of my eyes. I've gone through an entire war. But as well, I saw good people. I saw good people doing good things. I saw my parents having a small box beside the door where we put all the change that left in our pocket. And in the end of the week, my mom will take us and will buy food and give it to others. I saw my dad traveling across the country, buying flour and bringing it home so we can turn it to pita bread and give it to our neighbors free, because they didn't have the money to pay for it. Despite the war, they always helped. Despite the war, they never said, if we have bread, let's make sure we have more. They always said, if we have a bread, let's share it with someone else. I learned it since I was a kid. I was wired that way. I was wired that you're only going to be blessed. You're only going to be successful in life. You're only going to fulfill the reason why God has put you on earth if you help others with the money that you make, and if you teach others the knowledge that you learned. And I always been wired that way. And I go all the way to do that. Because that's what creates the reason, that's what I think people should leave behind them, is the legacy of how many lives they have touched and how many people's days they have made better. Not how much money or how many acres they left. That's great too. There's nothing wrong with being rich. I always say, I'm a capitalist. I want to make money. But there is a better way to do it, a kinder way. There is what I always call kinder capitalism, where you're actually making money, but the reason why you continue wanting your business to grow because you want to help more people. And that's what I do it, not the opposite way. Not let me go make a profit, whichever way happen. Doesn't match my values and principle. As long as I make more money, then after I'll cut a check lip service. No, that's not the way it should be. I do it. It's a part of doing my business. Is doing it because I want to help more people. And I didn't do that when I became rich or became better off. I started off right from the beginning. And that's what I hope. Look, in our country, in politics, in our community, we do what we do. We want our parents to be proud of us and our children to look up to us.
Absolutely.
And we become what we celebrate. If we continue celebrating people who has money only for their richness, our kids will aspire to become only rich. We need to celebrate people for the right reason. We need to celebrate people for their kindness, for their compassion. Celebrate people because they're good people and they are ready to do good things. And then our kids will aspire to be good people wanting to do good things. So it's up to us. And whoever we celebrate and how we celebrate them will define what our children will look up to and who they will become like. And if we celebrate leaders and vote them back into power, that they don't deserve it, to do that, we're setting a horrible example. And we're celebrating leaders for the wrong reason. And we should be careful.
I love it. When we talk on one topic, it's amazing how you bring so many things forward together. You're tied in so nicely. You were definitely a writer or a poet in the past life, I'm telling you, because you see the vision of it. I've been to business school and I've been in business for many, many years. I've never heard the term kinder capitalism. I love it. If it's okay with you, I will use that in the future.
Please do.
I think that's an amazing term. Now, to put in perspective, when you came to Canada, Mohamad, how old were you when you first came here?
I came here 20 years ago, so that's like around the 28.
Okay.
I was 28 years old, but from Lebanon, I left, I was 16 to Italy.
Yes.
I studied gemology, so I'm
Yes.
a gemologist, did a degree in geology,
Yes.
and I worked in a diamond lab
Yes.
to actually certify diamond. And I went back to Beirut to start a business. The war restart again. A friend of mine lived in Canada, and he said, come, Canada's beautiful. So I thought that would be a great stop before I go back to Italy. I came here and I saw the difference. I saw the Canadian and felt the Canadian dream.
Yes.
I saw the smile in people's face. It made me feel welcome. I saw the good in the people's heart, and I thought I wanted to be part of this. It was cold, and people always spoke in the elevator about the weather. Until now, I don't get it. Why do we speak always about the weather in the elevator?
Still do.
And this one I haven't learned yet properly how to speak about always the weather. But what I saw is that this country could actually lead the world. Could lead the world with kinder capitalism. It could lead the world by setting a great example where we can see kinder politics, kinder capitalism, and a country that actually care not only about us, even our message outside Canada. It's a love message. We're kind. People think that we're nice. And I love that. And I wanted to be part of that. So I came and I lived in a basement apartment.
Yes.
I shared the basement with two other guys.
Wow.
Yeah. And to pay that.
So there weren't millions of dollars pouring out of your pockets at this point as you pulled up into Canada, you're saying?
I had nothing. I didn't have even money to buy a jacket. And I used to hide in the, those phone booth.
Yes.
I used to hide there waiting for the bus because my jacket wasn't good enough. And I had to teach French to the landlord daughter just to pay for rent because I didn't have enough cash flow. I never forget. There was one night the payroll was hitting at midnight. And I haven't eaten all day because I didn't have the money. I had to pay rent, so I was out of money. And I didn't have a breakfast, not lunch. And I was watching people inside a pizza place eating pizza, just salivating over what they're eating.
Yes.
Because I didn't have the money to eat it. Then I made a deal with the guy in the pizza shop that he will warm up one for me and he'll wait for me until midnight because he'll close the oven at 11:30 and give it to me after I give him the money. And he agreed. So I looked so bad that he wouldn't trust me for the slice of pizza. I waited until the money hit the bank, and I ran to him to just eat something before I go back to the basement. So I've lived those days.
Yes.
And that's why I committed that I will never see someone hungry and not do something about it.
No matter where your success takes you over the course of your life now, I would dare venture that you've not forgotten those days. Those days are always with you. Remembering what it's like as far as waiting paycheck to paycheck. And you never forget that hunger, I guess.
And I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do not want to forget my accent. Like I do not want to forget, or somebody called me Mo. I'm proud that I came poor. I'm proud to have an accent and be an immigrant. And I'm proud that my name is Mohamad too. I mean, our country brings people, we welcome the world to our country.
Yes.
We don't welcome them to change them, to condition them. In case, if you want to be accepted, you have to change your name. You can't have an accent and reach places in life. Or basically, if we have to welcome them the way they are and celebrate them and give them the biggest opportunity in life. And for me, that's very important. And we have to celebrate them that they were poor one day. Even they made it or they not. We need to humanize people, not celebrate them or be kind to them or be excited about them only if they got to high places. We should humanize them. We should just celebrate them regardless, just because they made the leap of leaving their country, their neighbors, the people that know them, and come to a new country. They deserve to be celebrated. And Canada a message to everyone out there. You know, I'll be missed if I don't say it. Anyone listening to me that's in power of hiring or in the power of touching someone's life, hire people from different backgrounds. Make sure that your companies, doesn't matter if you own a company or you're in a position of hiring at all, make sure the people you hire are mixed enough to represent and look like that your team will look like our street. When you walk in the street of Toronto or Mississauga, we have the world walking, people from different backgrounds. Let's make sure we hire that way. And let's make sure we accept them and we make available to them the highest position, not cap their growth because they have an accent or their name is weird or their name is different. We will be boring and Canada will not move ahead unless we hire diverse people and we have ourselves led by people from different backgrounds. And that's my message.
I love what you're saying, my friend, and it's all resonating. And people hearing this, I hope it's resonating with them as well, because the only way we're going to make change is to spread the word.
100%.
Now, that being said, then I'm wrapping my mind around this because a gemologist...
Selling shawarma.
They're selling shawarma. So when you went and studied and became a gemologist, what was the life ambition at that point? Where did you said Canada was a layover that ended up not leaving, but when you studied gemology, where did you see at that point your life heading? What was your ambition career-wise?
Well, I wanted to own my own diamond store and diamond lab and everything. And I started working at a jewelry store at the Eaton Center for free in the beginning, only for commission, and working at Timmy's. Just to make some money because I was working for free because I didn't have Canadian experience. And, you know, again, if you're hiring or interviewing anyone listening to me, please don't offend people and asking them if they have Canadian experience. I'm not sure if it's a positive thing only to have a Canadian experience. We need to welcome other people's experiences. I don't know why we think international experiences aren't as worthy as ours. Canadian experiences are amazing, but we have a lot of them.
Yes.
We should mix our team with new ideas. So the bottom line for me, I walked in the jewelry store, and then from there, I was recruited by La Suisse, the watch company, right? And from there, a lovely lady walked in to buy an expensive watch and offered me a job that within it was a sweat equity percentage.
Yes.
So yeah, small salary and sweat equity.
Okay.
And that was the first time I owned something in Canada.
And this was a jewelry store?
Yeah, as well.
Okay.
So I went to 3 stages of a jewelry store all the way to owning one.
Yes.
And then I brought a Swatch. You know the Swatch watch? All the kiosks you see around the mall, I brought them. I brought them in here until Swatch took them over from me and sold them. And then I started renovating homes to help a friend of mine. And one day when I was renovating one of the houses, my wife sent me to Paramount to buy a kilo baklava. And it was one location in Mississauga, in Dixie and Eglinton, Crestlawn, behind the police station.
Yes.
You know, nothing looked Paramount about the place. I walked in and I'm having a conversation to buy a kilo baklava, and the guy offered me if I would lend him money because him and his staff would have been in the street if I didn't help.
And this is the first time you met the person?
First time he asked me for $250,000. I said, no, I just want a kilo baklava for $20, right? But when he said that me and my staff will be in the street, I got to my car, and I wasn't rich. I had made some money, not enough even to buy him. And I sat in the car and I said, that was me. In life, you have to make a decision who you want to be. What kind of person you want to be. Are you going to be a person that shows up to people, with people, or not? Are you going to show up for your friend, for your community, for your country? Or are you going to put your head down, worry only about you, your financial situation, and just act like you don't see what's happening around you? And for me, it was that moment where I realized, no, that was me. And people helped me in this country, and I'm going to help this man. So I called him and I said, let's meet at the office. He came to my office, and he didn't want to stay. He wanted to go back to Dubai. So I bought the business. And that was in 2006.
Yes.
And fast forward, today Paramount 82 locations worldwide. And we have the arena, used to be the Hershey Center, Paramount Fine Food Center.
Yes.
We have
over in Mississauga, yes.
Over in Mississauga, we have a couple other brands like Paramount Butcher Shop. We have 6 butcher shops already. And we have Crispo, the fried chicken concept, Boxed, the automated touchless restaurant on King Street. It's a new concept we start. And we have Massimo, which is a pizza in collaboration with Chef Massimo Capra. So we employ over 2,000 employees, and we're very proud of them.
And that's where I'm thinking in my mind, for you're saying about hiring people that not just have Canadian experience, but how about people that don't have experience in that industry at all?
Well, that's me.
Right. I'm saying to myself, if the Gemologist can go and build Paramount to the vertical integration it is today, imagine somebody hiring for any position and thinking, okay, this person may not be in even my industry, but let's take these skill sets. It's amazing how it can transfer over. A lot of leading companies don't even want to promote necessarily always within. They want to bring somebody from an outside company because they bring a fresh voice, fresh experiences, so they don't go still. It's amazing how different mindsets can go. But when I eat at Paramount, and I love the food I told you, and I've been there many, many times, would have never guessed in a million years that this was not a family-run operation that has been through generation. So many of these restaurants, when you go in and you talk to the chef, they're a third-generation chef. And just that's in the family blood. So you taking something out of your comfort zone, something we weren't doing, and then building your own, and then all of a sudden growing it to the empire it is today, to me is remarkable.
Thank you. And it wasn't me. You can never be remarkable on your own. You can never be successful on your own. You're always surrounded with people. And I didn't even get the Order of Canada on my own. My team at Paramount is much smarter than I am. I owe them that success every single day. The community that surrounded me and supported me. People who believed in me and used to say, Mohamad, keep going. Those words, those hugs, that smile, that handshake. The staff, the executive that always stayed with me day and night, kept up with my craziness and me wanting to achieve something with them. They deserve that success even much more than I do. They always put me first when I actually always say. When people stop me in the street and say, Mohamad, customer comes first, I say no. To me as a CEO, customer should not come first. Yes, I know your face.
Yes, you hear it everywhere, right?
No,
yeah,
my staff come first.
Uh-huh.
Because when you empower your team,
yes,
then they'll put the customer first. So for me as a CEO, for every leader, please, your employees are your biggest asset. When your customers see your employee are happy, they know that they're supporting a great company. So I always say, for me, the bottom line in business is the 3 P's plus 1. First P is people, your team. You put them first. Mm-hmm. Second P is purpose, your community. Having a culture that's focused, purpose-focused, it's not only the right thing, it's the profitable thing. Because the community members today do not want to support companies that they're bad to their staff, that they're bad to their community and they're not feeling their oneness, that they only want to profit but they don't pay back. Third P is the planet. People are demanding from companies that they support to be careful about everything we do with the planet. And that's how you get to profit. Profit is a destination. And if you want to do more profit, look after your people, your community, and the planet. And people will support you. You know how many people come to Paramount? Or I meet them.
Yes.
And they say, we come more often to Paramount. Knowing that you put your staff first and seeing what you do in charitable organization and with the homeless,
yes,
well, that shows everyone. And I've met a lot of people say, but Mohamad, we make so much money without doing all this. And to them I say, wait until you know how much you're missing out. You would have made much, much more money if you had put your team first and your community second.
When I'm hearing you, I feel so inspired. It's like I'm hearing this and I want to go and make change in the world. This is the kind of energy you're putting out, and it's very addictive. Anybody who's around
and
you
I think
can
we
feel
will.
that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when we talk about leadership, to me, it's not about the leader that says they're a great leader. It's when they have that team And the leader says, I have that team. The team is what makes me, and then the team is the one that says he's the great leader or she's the great leader. And I've noticed the heads of business and successful people that mentor me or that I look up to, they all say at the end of the day that they do see that team aspect of it. Nobody can do it on their own. But the way you put it, it's another level because those people will still say, when it comes to my business, it's still the customers. Customers are number one. If nobody, and you're saying at the end of the day, it's the team, and I love that. It's not putting down the customers, but without putting the team number one, the customers are not going to be served well as they can be.
How do you keep breathing the neck of your staff, customer number one, and then they lose their smile and they don't put the customer number one? And the second is, your team is yours for you to support.
Yes.
And when you support them and provide them with the proper training and the tool, they will win. When they win, you celebrate them, and the customer is celebrating. Because when they win, that means they did a great job. And they will accomplish that task perfectly, and including that task is the customer. But for me as a CEO, maybe the regional managers at Paramount, their focus is the customer and the people that works under them. Yes. But for me as a CEO, my team comes first. No discussion. And that's the problem. A lot of our bigger corporations today, the moment that the pandemic hit, the first thing they did, laying off people. People they cannot replace today, but they never admit it. If we put a study today, a lot of the corporations that laid off a lot of people, they can't bring them back. No. And their issue today is a staffing. We have a staffing issue in Canada. Let me answer that issue. The answer to all the issues of staffing is one word. Immigrant. We need more immigration. Yes, we used to feel like we're doing immigrant a favor to bring them here. If Canada wouldn't become competitive, how welcoming we are to immigrant, we will miss out. And we have the biggest opportunity. The world celebrates the Canadian dream more than we celebrate our Canadian dream. People around the world, talents around the world wants to come to Canada. Canada need to make it easier for them to come. And when they arrive, all of us, as every single Canadian, need to understand and appreciate and welcome them properly. The way we speak and advertise our Canadian dream, they should see it in reality so they can stay. We do not do a favor by welcoming talent. We need to be competitive that talents pick Canada, because the world in the next 20 years, Canada in the next 20 years, won't have a staff to service our seniors. 20 years from today, I'll be a senior. It won't be
maybe
enough.
40, but
it won't be staff enough if we're not aware. And the answer is immigration and immigrant. So for anyone that takes on immigrants sometime here and there, or feel like immigrant does the wrong thing to come to this country, well, I'm one of these examples. I came with nothing, and I'm very proud to say I'm Canadian, and I'm proud to say that without this country and the support of Canadian, I wouldn't have become where I am. Let's continue that Canadian welcoming spirit and generosity, and continue welcoming the world here.
And people listening all over the world right now to this talk, they can relate to it in other countries as far as immigration goes. But if you've never been to Canada, and I've been to various parts of the world, not as many as you, I'm sure, but Canada is really built on immigration. Canada is built on immigrants. Like I was born here, but my parents were immigrants. I always joke that I was manufactured there, but I was produced here. And when I came, I'm born in Toronto, but I was still ESL. I didn't speak English till I was 4. And a lot of people with their family histories can relate that as far as at the end of the day, if they were born here, their parents were born here, or grandparents, it's very rare, I find, in Canada that you'll meet somebody and they'll say, I'm third, fourth generation Canadian. Either they'll say, I came here when I was 10, or my parents came here when I was 10. There's such a storied history of immigration and then diversity and acceptance that now we need to embrace that more. I agree with you, because we're moving towards a cycle where I think we're saying immigration is not as good. They're taking away jobs, or taking away opportunities for us in housing. We're saying, no, we were built on immigration. Let's not forget that. We need those dollars. We need those brains. We need that energy. Let's continue making where Canada is great. I hear what you're saying.
No, and I understand. I mean, people can't see it that way. And can say immigration is not good because they're taking our income and jobs. Well, clearly there's enough jobs in Canada that we need more people. It depends if you're someone that you're going to be a go-getter. Opportunity comes to everyone in life. It's either you have the courage to take it on or you don't. And if you don't have the courage, don't blame the people that has the courage that took it on. The opportunity was yours for you to lose. And guess what? We need that immigrant spirit, that they come here and they're hungry. I came hungry, and I'm always hungry. Hungry to help, yes, and hungry to succeed, hungry to hire, and hungry to do things differently. And that hunger brings, and on the ride, I bring people with me. And they get excited and they want to do bigger things. But meanwhile, I help the community. So hopefully, a lot of the entrepreneurs I mentored, I saw them during the pandemic doing food for the LTC, yes, helping others. I was very proud of them. Wasn't only for their business success, was for that culture, the culture of compassion and giving back. So these are immigrant too and non-immigrant. And we can't sit back and listen to what's happening in the United States and let it affect us. Canada's much better than that. And we have to protect that dream. We have to protect that opening, welcoming, inclusive mentality. And the spirit of Canada, despite that, we can't deny what's happening in Quebec with Bill 21. And our leaders listening to this and not saying too much about someone that wear a religious symbol won't be a lawyer or a teacher or won't be allowed to continue their future. Those are a threat that us Canadians should do everything we can to protect Canada from.
Well, if you don't bring Mohamad to this country and give him this one job, thousands of jobs are lost, And you think about how many immigrants, if they wouldn't come here and they wouldn't bring in more business and bring in more opportunities, it's funny how it becomes like a cycle that way. So I think, again, people have to consider that perspective.
Yeah, but let's don't let the hater define us. They
never do.
The haters, yes, and the small-minded people do not define Canada and Canadian. We have the best country on earth. Canadians are the best people.
Yes.
I love Canadian. And all what we have to do, the good people in this country is much, much bigger number than the haters. Yes. And the people that have the smaller thinking. But we're very silenced. We're silenced because we do not want to rock the boat, because we're polite as Canadians. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like the haters are winning, but they're not. Haters will never win in Canada. And the people that speak badly of immigrant or immigration will never win in our country. I believe in this country so much. And we will push those haters back to the dark corner, because this is our country. This is our dream. This is our children's country. And we will do whatever it takes to keep it open and welcoming for everyone.
So on that note, we're going to take it to a very difficult subject, probably the most difficult question you're ever going to get, Mohamad.
Sure.
Okay, so we're talking about a great country and worldwide where Paramount is built. There's a debate that goes on through many cultures throughout the world, and it's who's got the best shawarma. And what is this? And I'm a big shawarma fan. I'll tell you, from birth, I was eating it probably when I didn't even have teeth. And I've been to many shawarma restaurants in my day in many different jurisdictions, and everybody believes they have the secret to the best shawarma. I can't tell you that anybody can touch Paramount. I've eaten at your restaurant many, many times. It's delicious, beautiful food. It feels homemade every time. It feels like someone in the back is genuinely cooking it for me. Like I feel like someone's mom or grandmother is cooking it. What is the secret to your success as far as the shawarma goes? What is the secret to the best shawarma?
I don't know. And don't tell anyone. I'm just kidding. When I bought Paramount, I didn't know how to fry an egg. Literally, I'm not kidding. So, look, I think the secret of any success of a business, including cooking, it has to do a lot with the culture of the business. And give positivity to the people who's cooking. Make them feel that they're at home, and that's why it will sound and feel and taste like homey meal. So it's all about the culture that I provide at Paramount, and hire the best of the best. We've hired the best chef in Paramount from all around the world. We shop the world for the best ingredient, but most importantly, we treat them well. And when you treat them well, they're not worried about sharing their best recipe and sending a home meal and delivering a meal that I always say, I always want to feed you what I feed my children. And this is the secret. And you know what? If the Turkish are celebrating their best shawarma, I want to celebrate with them. And if the Egyptian says, we do the best shawarma, I'm with them. And if Syrian do that, for me, it's all about breaking bread together and celebrating with people, regardless what their background and what they're celebrating, as long as it's within our values and principle. So that argument over who created hummus and who created falafel is very, very cute. I don't think there was a championship ever of falafel or hummus, but I think the best way for me is that Paramount has taken the Middle Eastern food in general in Canada to a different level, and many others had to follow by decorating their restaurant, presenting the food in a much prettier, cleaner environment, higher quality. And even if some of them has done the same now, that's an honor and a badge that we will carry forever, that we presented diverse food in Canada, but in a real authentic taste, presented in a Canadian accepted way and format and cleanliness and the stores and location and decor, that all Canadian will come to Paramount and enjoy a meal.
Well, I know right away when I'm eating at a restaurant, if they tell me it's hummus or hummus, right away I know how authentic it's going to be, almost from the pronunciation.
Oh, well, I mean, look, it's funny. A lot of people wants to, again, into the fight of who did the baklava and it's hummus or hummus. Yes. You know what? In Canada, we learned it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter. I have a friend that they're Jewish and Christian and white and black and indigenous. I have a friend from everywhere across Canada, from many backgrounds from this world. You know, I love how Canada has taken away those differences that sometimes in the middle of the Middle East we were not able to take away. And I think they can pronounce hummus the way they want it or hummus the way they want it, as long as we can break bread together.
But if I go to Paramount, for example, in the Middle East versus Canada versus the UK, and I order, let's say, a shawarma, am I eating the same shawarma in all the jurisdictions?
For sure.
You are, eh?
Same recipe, except that sometimes the protein is changed.
Yes.
And the taste of the protein of that country is a little bit different. But 90%, unless you're a food expert, you won't feel the difference.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. And then as far as somebody, when you bring in people who create the recipe and generate it out, these are experts in their fields, obviously, with the training and experience. How difficult is it to find the leadership from that end of it? It's one thing managing the wait staff and as far as the back end of things, but as far as actually creating the food part of it, because to me in a restaurant, it all comes down to the food. It's the quality of the food and everything else. How is that process to put together the team that actually creates the menu?
Well, I mean, it's not easy like a lot of things, but you know, it's all about your company and how exciting you make it for real talent. And Paramount has a lot why people want to work with inside Paramount. And big part of it is the charity we do. Because people at a certain point on their life, they don't want only just a salary. Yes. They want to be part of a company or something bigger than ourselves. And there's nothing bigger than our community. So our team do not only stay at Paramount because it's a great job and a great pay. It's the message of Paramount. It's the noble mission of Paramount of helping others and them wanting being part of it and bringing their children to be part of it. And hearing on the news that the company and a lot of my chefs tell me, they tell their parents, their family member, their friends, when they're watching us on TV, cooking for the homeless or doing something great, say, that's where I work with pride. And that's why I invite every CEO, every decision maker to really bring in a reason bigger than just the company success to your own team. That's part of retention.
So, Mohamad, my mind is almost exploding because I'm trying to picture this now. Just Paramount on its own in Ontario, then start taking it across Canada, then worldwide. Now all of a sudden you have the butcher shops and you start the vertical integration that way. Now you're talking about your other concepts that you're working on from the restaurant. But this is not just the industries alone for you. You're also in roofing, in building. My friend, how do you do it? Like, how do you go into so many industries with so much energy, yet have the time still to be in the community where one of these industries could easily burn them, and then you just keep growing and growing? It blows my mind.
My staff.
Yeah.
My staff. The answer is hiring the right people. Don't be afraid to hire smarter people than you are, and that's easy for me. A lot of people are smarter than I am. And you know what? Listen to them, because a lot of people hire people but don't listen to them, right? So I hire people, I listen to them, and I smile all day long. Nothing hurt except my job. I'm smiling 20 hours a day. I work 20 hours a day, but I love it, right? And, diversifying, counting on people, learning from people, and hiring them. And that's it, very simple. And I still have time. I want to do more.
When I see somebody such as yourself that to me is a role model, to somebody that I would aspire to, that I see, wow, I love what he's about as far as a human being goes and as far as success-wise, to me it seems almost at any point you can say, I've already made the generational money for myself, my kids, my grandkids. And there are people that will just stop and say, you know what, I'm good with this in my lot of life. I'll live off the interest in the bank and have a nice day, and they go off.
They go off where?
We don't know where they go, but we don't see them anymore.
No, but that's exactly it.
To me, it seems that in your mind now, it's almost a challenge to see how far can I take this. I built up this, and I'd like to now see where else I can go. Like you have that zest and you have that passion, and you're saying, I have more I need to do.
Yes.
You've already accomplished 50 lifetimes of work for people.
No, thank you. I just think a lot about legacy in life and what legacy I want to leave behind. And it's not going to be a legacy where, I made a lot of money and I'm living off the interest of the money. That's not a legacy, right?
Yes.
Or, I have $100 million in the account. That's it? Is that the legacy? Well, that's not a legacy. I rather have less money and more impact. I have less money and touch more people's life. And people remember me for things better than just money and richness. And that's how I roll in life. For me, it's how many people I can benefit, how many lives I can change, and how many people I can put a smile on their face, even for that one day, to make their life better only for one day. How many times I can make someone feel that they're not alone by me sending a message of love through food or a meal or a smile or even visiting them. So happiness is subjective to every single one person. I find my happiness in giving back. I find my happiness in the eyes of people that see me as a CEO, don't need to do it, but I'm there showing up for them to do it and to be beside them and show them that happiness and feed them a meal I'm eating myself. It just makes me very happy, and it's very, very addictive. It makes me want to be there every single day. I don't see any other success. I love my cars and I don't mind living a nice, lavish life, but that it's not at odds together. You could do both. You could enjoy your life, celebrate yourself, but celebrate others and leave behind a very, very good legacy.
Well, we're going to have two segues to that. You brought up two very good points there. We're going to talk about the cars in a moment, but the one that, if you were going to talk about legacy and you talk about achievements, I'm sure you have rooms full of awards as far as Entrepreneur of the Year, Business Leader of the Year. The list goes on and on. I've seen them on your LinkedIn, and I'm sure there's a lot more. But the one that obviously will stick out is the Member of Order of Canada. For people listening around the world, to get this achievement, to get this honor, this is the biggest legacy you could receive being in Canada. And walk us through it. When did you first get the phone call or the communication that this was going to happen? And what was going through your mind, your heart as you felt when you heard it?
I've always said there was three moments, the best moment in my life. The first moment was I took my mom. My mom doesn't live in Canada. She lives in Beirut.
Okay.
During the pandemic, it was for almost a year and a half, I couldn't see her. So I actually arranged a trip, me and her alone. And my kids were jumping up and down. We want to go see her. I said, no, that's me and her alone. And my sister said, I'll bring her. I said, no, I want her alone. And I staffed her on the plane to Turkey, and I met her there. I went the day before. I booked her a very nice hotel suite. I actually booked her a suite that Jennifer Lopez slept in. I treated her like a model date that I've been waiting for all my life. And she was my date that I flew the world across the ocean just to see that beautiful woman that she is. And that was my 84 years old mom. I took her out on a yacht. I took her in a helicopter. I took her to every restaurant. I sat beside her bed when she was sleeping. I sat beside her when she was praying. And in the last day, before we left, she looked at me, she held my hand, and she said, "These are my best 3 days of my entire life. I don't know if I'll live again to be this happy. I will forever bless you for what you just did." And that was a moment where if I would have died, it would have been okay. The blessing of my mom coming from her heart, telling me that I've made her the best 3 days of her life. And to everyone listening to me, if you have a mother or a father alive, don't waste any minute. Spend time with them. Because once you lose them, and I haven't lost them, once you lose them, it's a huge loss. I grew up to believe no one prays for you from the heart when your parents die, because they're the only one that prays for their children as deep as they do. No one else can match it. So, I always believe when your mom or your dad dies, the prayers become less for you and for your life. So, if you have them alive, enjoy a lot of time with them. The second moment when I got the key to the city of Mississauga, and Kawhi Leonard at the time got a key around a month before that.
Yes.
And I stepped up from the stage and my son told me, "I thought Kawhi was my hero. You're my hero," and I didn't know. And that was my son telling me this. Of course, I'm not Kawhi Leonard. I'm not even the height of his hip. But the bottom line for me, my son called me his hero. And I felt like, that's all what I need as a father. That's it. I'm done. I could walk now. Take me to my funeral. I'm fine. Right? And the third time when I got the call, I was walking on University Avenue beside the Shangri-La Hotel. And I got a call and it says, Governor General's office. And for an immigrant named Mohammed, you're probably going to get deported in your mind, right? And I picked up the phone and I said, "Is everything okay?" Like right off the bat, like this.
You had no clue.
No clue what's going on.
Okay.
And everything okay, Mohammed? Why? And I said, "I don't know. Usually it's not a good call for an immigrant with the name Mohammed coming from the Governor General office. I was worried that you guys deporting me or something." She started laughing. She said, No, it's a good news. You are getting the Order of Canada. And for a minute, I said nothing. And she said, "Your name was proposed to the Honorable Governor General, and she granted you the honor of..." And she's saying that, and my tears are like... dripping like a crazy. Like I found myself crying and smiling at the same time. And it was a huge moment. Like I sensed it in my heart. I sensed it. I felt it in my heart. And I'm like, "Oh God, thank you." Like it's a blessing. Then you go home, you're going to tell your children, it's like crazy. Like
do you know who put you forward? Did you ever find out?
Apparently, several people, and it was a couple of applications. And
wonderful.
Yeah, great.
And without telling you,
no,
they didn't tell you. They just selflessly put it forward, and you don't find out till you're actually awarded.
Yeah, and it was, and you know what was most beautiful about it?
What's that?
When it was announced publicly.
Yes.
I received calls from many people saying, "My dad was crying last night hearing you got the Order of Canada," and I'm like, "But I don't know your dad." "I know, but my dad loves you," because it's like him receiving it, he felt. And then somebody saying, "My mom was so touched by you receiving the Order of Canada." So because it seemed like even people setting me up for interview for TV before the interview, the people checking the voice and the picture, "Oh my God, my mom was talking how touched she was by you getting the Order of Canada." Because that's our story. My story is not unique. It's the immigrant story. It's every single one of us story. And people saw me being awarded the highest order as a civilian. It made the people, the normal people like us, feel celebrated finally. And people who comes from different background being celebrated finally. Not when they're dead, No, when they're too old. Someone that people see every day on the street got the Order of Canada. So I didn't feel like it was only my celebration. It was our celebration. A lot of Canadian, Ontarian, Torontonians celebrated with me.
That's so beautiful. And the emotions you felt when you got that call, how did that emotion measure to when you actually were there at the presentation and saw it? When you actually received the order?
We did not yet. They haven't done.
They haven't done it yet.
They haven't done it. It's coming soon. They haven't done it.
Because of what was happening, they still. Okay,
so they sent us the pin. They announced us within the interview, but they haven't done it.
So same as Danny Green with the Raptors championship ring that he forgoed it until it was going to be in person.
Yes.
Wonderful. We look forward to that when they do have that ceremony for you.
I can't wait.
Excellent. Now on the other segue that you had put in. Now, we were talking, I see you pull up here, and I see you're a car guy. I'm a car guy, and us car people, we understand, and there's this... When did you first know you're a car person? When did you have your love of cars?
My mom says when I was 3. Yes. I don't know. I spent a lot of money on my car, and not now only, even when I was a kid.
Yes.
I mean, even when I couldn't afford it, I used to take all the money, and my mom say, I give you money to buy pants and shirts. I put it on my car to make it look better, and I love cars, and and it's funny. You saw my new car,
yes.
And
I'm allowed to say what it is?
Yeah, you should.
It's a Maybach, and it's one thing when you're in Miami, every second car is a Maybach or a Rolls Royce. Here in Canada and Ontario, you don't see very many Maybachs, and that's a beautiful one, my friend.
But let me tell you a story about the Maybach. Around 2 Sundays ago,
yes,
I had left the 20 meals at Regent Park that we couldn't find somebody to take them.
Yes.
So I put them in my Maybach beside my seat, and I went to Yonge Street. I stopped at the traffic light, and this young lady, I rolled my window, and she thought I'm going to tell her that she's beautiful, trying to talk to her or something. And then I handed her a meal, and I said, do you mind giving this meal to the person sleeping on the floor beside you?
Yes.
And you can see her face, the disappointment. The person behind me was honking and giving me fingers. And then on the next traffic light, I stopped again, and this lady's honking and giving me fingers. And then I got off the Maybach, and I handed a meal to the homeless, and I came back to the car, and that person pulled it closer to me, and she said, we love you. Thank you for what you do for our community, and sorry for the finger. I said, don't worry, it's okay. I'm okay with that. So look, I love enjoying my cars. I love cars, and I do have nice cars, but all this really does. I mean, I love having it because you feel inside it that this is something when I was a kid I liked having all along. But what I really make sure that my awards and my car does not make me forget where I came from, and I'm still the same poor guy. I'm still the same person feeling the poor people that couldn't have the money to pay that pizza I couldn't pay for. And even when I'm driving my Maybach, I don't mind setting the example of, yes, you can drive a nice car and make it like a truck to deliver food for the people in need in our community. It's all about how you use it and what do you do with it.
So I need you to help me now, because when I'm in a future engagement and we're talking about cars, I don't want to embarrass myself. So please help me. Is it Maybach or Maybach?
Well, it depends. In German is Maybach, but it's a Maybach is fine.
Okay, so we know two pronunciations. That's what we know. Are there certain types of cars you gravitate towards in general, as far as collecting goes? How do you pick the cars that draw you?
Well, I mean, even with the loud cars, you can be very loud. So in the Lamborghini, I have a silver.
Yes.
I don't pick a yellow or Ferrari. We say in Italian, Ferrari deve essere rossa. I mean, Ferrari has to be red, yes. Right? So the Ferrari has to be loud color, but everything else I try to tone down the color. But it's all the idea about, is it showing off or enjoying the engine and liking to have a car that as a kid you dreamt to have. And it's a mix of both always, right? But quite honestly for me, mostly I drive my Maybach, and I enjoy it. And when I drive a sport car, I drive it because one of my boys, my son's beside me,
yes.
And they enjoy being there and hearing the engine and a little bit showing off in front of their friend, which is fine, cool, as long as they're doing other things that they're more purposeful, so that's not what gets stuck to their head.
Is the Maybach your favorite? Would you say?
It's my everyday, my favorite. Yeah, I mean.
And as far as the exotic goes, is it the Lambo or is there another one? The Lambo.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let you drag me to more cars to say.
No. I know I'm trying to go there.
I know you are.
I'm trying to see if there's McLaren, if there's Bugatti, but that's okay.
I know where you're going.
Listen, as a car guy, we can't help it, And at the end of the day, and it's funny because I love cars. I don't put anything on social media because I don't want to be about it. I understand what you mean. It's one thing I know if you're a car person, you either have to show it to the world all the time or you're doing it for your own personal enjoyment. And
I don't show my cars.
No, I wouldn't have known otherwise, but I see it. I'm like, wow, I know what that is. So,
I don't show my car to the world in social media or anything. Yeah. And I ride bikes as well. Yeah. I love riding bikes as well. But I mean, in general, like I said.
And this is not bicycles. We're talking about hogs. We're talking about motorcycles.
Yeah.
Yes. Just to be clear for people.
Yeah, so I love riding motorcycles as well. It's something that I've done when I was a kid as well. And I have a nice collection of motorcycles. But again...
but it's not about that. I know.
I can't help it. Even when I'm servicing a car that it's expensive, I can't help it not to think about, is that the right choice? Am I doing the right thing? But you know what? In a way, yes. You deserve to celebrate yourself. Yes. And it's nice to celebrate yourself and do things you like. Because when you're happy, you can project happiness to others. And if that's something that makes you happy and you have enough to do both, you should do it.
I do a lot of reading about productivity, organization, success. And a couple of things that I've seen the theme constantly. Number one is never apologize for success. No. You work really hard for it. You earn it. You don't have to apologize for it. And number two, there is a reward theory to it. That you do achievements, you should reward yourself to whatever degree, whether you're giving charity work or you're buying yourself something nice or taking a trip. One should always reward themselves when they put in the effort because subconsciously it'll motivate you to work that much harder, whatever your measure of reward is at the end of the day.
And I think I've had a couple meetings last day. Yes. I have a couple meetings last 3-4 days, and a lot of that conversation came up, and I heard it from other CEOs that there is a price for success. And people sometimes don't like you because you're successful. And I think it's not true. It's the definition of CEO. And the way CEOs and successful people act is what makes people not like them or stay away from them. And because we look like we're robot and we're selfish and we're not close to the community. And that could need to be changed. And that has to change. CEO need to take away those barriers. Owner of companies and big companies need to take away those barriers and show up in the community and be on the floor and in the streets and show and do more for the community, not by hiding and cutting a lip service check, by showing up themselves. So the community will like them more, support them more, and our kids will look up to them so they want to become them. Instead of now, either you want to be nice or you want to be a CEO of a big company. Well, no. CEO of a big company could be nice too. And they could be good to the community too. And we need to show that. So that relation has to be better, right? Same thing, relation between businesses and politicians, as the same thing. But this is more important to me. So the idea of you, big CEO, don't care about us poor people has to change. Because we do.
Is that your recipe, ultimately, Mohamad, to make the world a better place, do you think, as far as kinder capitalism, as far as leaders being out in the forefront, motivating, diversity? How do you see at the end of the day, what could we be doing?
I think the pyramid is upside down in the way we run things. We hire people in government, mostly 80% of the people we hire to govern us, we would not hire in our companies.
Agreed.
Yeah. So,
not even close.
No, that's the truth.
Yes.
Like if you ask big entrepreneur in this country, would you hire that premier or that minister?
Yes.
As a senior executive VP in your company? We won't, right? Because we actually pay our employee more than that premier get paid. And not only because we pay them, because they basically have better talents and skills.
And track records.
And track records.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
That's number one. So we have the people leading us, 80%, not all of them, with respect to a lot of people in the government today. And their job is not easy to put your name forward. Congratulations to them all. But the bottom line is, the pyramid is upside down. Our staff don't come first. They should come first. CEO, that they have so much leadership, don't speak out. Don't weigh into bigger issues. They complain about the government, but yet they don't hold them accountable. And then we go vote for people that can't even handle half of what we want them to handle, but we expect the world from them. It just doesn't work that way, right? And I think the idea is that CEO could help govern Canada along with the politicians, and they should weigh in, and they should become a powerhouse for decision made by politicians to be run by them and decided with the people. With the people. The poorest people should be sitting on the table. Because who cares if me and you make a decision and we high five that impact people that they're not on the table, so we don't understand their struggle. So that's what I see. Kinder capitalism in a country where politicians are representing and governing us after getting experiences from CEO and listening to the people that they govern, and CEO that they weigh in on bigger issues, and where all of us worry and put people first. People that need us to put them first, and not only when it's easy, when it's difficult. I think there's nothing bigger than us ending hunger and having less homeless in our country. 4.4 million Canadians are below the poverty line, as per the University of Toronto and several other universities.
And it's only getting worse. Only getting worse.
That's something we should not be proud of, and that's something needs only political will to resolve it. And the CEOs of Canada has an opportunity to do that. Canada and all of us has an opportunity to lead the world with kinder capitalism.
Kinder capitalism. That's a great recipe. Mohamad, I'm going to apologize to you as we're almost out of time now, but I'm not ready to summarize this with your legacy because the story is still being written and the legacy is still being told. So what I'm looking towards when I feel your energy, when I want to finish off today's episode, I want to know what's next for Mohamad. Where are you headed? Where are we today? And where do you see your future headed as far as opportunities go and your story being written?
Well, thank you very much. And I really appreciate you welcoming me here in your beautiful space and your great staff. Thank you for all what you do, all of you. And the welcoming faces that I saw and the smile is nothing better than smiling to people. And to all of you out there listening to this, smile to people in their face. It makes their day better. And, for me, it's not about the plan of, I'm going to do the next 5 years this, the next 5 years that. The best thing happened in my life happened by coincidence. It happened by God sending it to me in front of me. The best thing happened to my life happened by intentions of helping people and turned it to business. So today where we are, Paramount is very proud to come out of the pandemic strong and working harder to grow and continue growing within Paramount and other brands. All my other businesses, I'm blessed. They're doing great. Our philanthropy is getting where we want it. But you're always feeling you could do more and you could do better and you could bring more people into that front to help you. I have a dream. I want to teach our kids in Canada kindness. I want them to look up to people because of their kindness, not their richness. I want Canada to win. I want our Canadian dream to be more spoken of than the American dream. We have a much bigger dream. And we have children that could lead us for Canada to be a leader around the world for kinder capitalism. We should be able to attract the best talent from immigrant, the best talent that they're going in anywhere in the world to wanting to come to Canada. Because definitely at the end, we are the best country on earth and Canadians are the best people to give anyone an opportunity. Look at me.
Mohamad, I couldn't have said any better. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing your opinions and for inspiring us. I have to tell you, please do not hate me after this episode when there's a lineup of people outside with $250,000 opportunities for you. But you never know when the next one is going to hit, right?
Of course.
A pleasure, my friend. Thank you for taking the time. We will keep in contact. I hope to have you back again one day. And in the meantime, as we sum off, we always do this. If you can put your arm like this and we say, keep living the chosen life.
Keep living the chosen life. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.